Hey, this video is for Greek class. This goes along with your Croy textbook, chapter 9, so you might want to grab that textbook and read along with me as I explain it to you. The next several chapters, like our whole next month and a half, is probably mostly about verbs, because we need to go back and learn a bunch more. So far, you only know how to say things in the present active, and today we're going to learn present, middle, and passive, and then we're going to learn a bunch of other tenses, so future and past, so you'll be able to do a bunch more things with verbs than what you can do now. Okay, let me just start with a review. So in the active that you can do so far, the subject is performing the action. So blepo means I see, I'm the one looking, right? Gnosko means, and gnoskousin means they know. So they're the ones with the knowledge, they're the ones thinking. And when we form the present active, we add these endings to it that you know from the luo, lues, lue, lu, amen, luete, lu-u-u-u-si. You know this already, so it's pisteuo, pisteues, pisteue, pisteuamen, pisteuete, pisteusin, because you can take any stem and add to it these endings, and you've got the verbs. So here they are: pisteuo, pisteues, pistue, pisteuamen, pisteuete, pisteusin. And it means I believe, you believe, he, she, it believes. Now, though, we're going to form the middle and the passive. In this case, we're going to do the same kinds of steps. We're going to isolate the present tense stem, which you already know how to do. Find that verb stem. You're going to add a connecting vowel, which you already know how to do because you've done that for the active. But now you're going to add the middle passive endings, and they are different. This is another place where I'm going to ask you to just memorize this cold. If you know the present active tense and the present middle passive tense, then you don't have to memorize all the rest of the verb charts. And I wish somebody had helped me with that when I first learned Greek, because I just memorized tons and tons of charts and didn't see the patterns that are there. But this is your base pattern for anything that's not active but passive, so it's happening to the subject. You have lu, which is your stem, plus the omicron, that's connecting vowel, and my, so lu-o-my. You have lu, and then there's a lot of vowels that have gone into this to create it. We're just going to go with what's there, and we're just going to say lue. Luetai, luametha, lueste, and luantai. This is your new pattern. These are them: luomai, lue, luetai, luametha, lueste, luantai. In this case, instead of you doing the loosening or the destroying, you are being destroyed, or maybe your bonds are being loosened. That is kind of how it works in Greek. So we have like this: luomai might mean I'm being loosened from chains. Lue, you are being loosened. Luetai, he, she, or it is being loosened. Luametha, luestai, luantai. So it's still the same six persons. First person plural, first person singular, second person plural, second person singular, third person singular, third person plural, but it's got these new endings, and you just need to memorize them: omai, a, etai, ametha, este, antai. And we'll say it a bunch of times until you become familiar with it. As you're looking at this, these are those endings: my, a, which comes from psi, that's actually been condensed. I'll explain it in class. Tai, metha, sthe, anti, but then it also maybe has a vowel in front of that makes it smoother. So lu amai, lu a, lu etai, lu ametha, lu este, lu anti. We want to do it off of this verb because it's just a nicer verb. The other thing I like about it is in the active it means I'm doing the believing, but in the passive, if I'm being believed, then I'm trusted. So I'm not doing the trusting, but I am trustworthy. I am trusted. So pistu ametha, pistu amai, let me start there with the first person singular, would mean I'm trusted. Pisteu e would mean you are trusted. Pisteu etai means he, she, or it is trusted. Pisteu ametha means we are trusted. Pisteu este means y'all are trusted. And pisteu antai means they are trusted. It's still absolutely consistent. This is the one I'll probably ask you to write in class. So pisteu amai, pisteu e, pisteu etai, pisteu ametha, pisteu este, pisteu antai. These are them. I'll say it again. So your endings are omai, a, etai, ametha, este, antai. And then when you add it to the stem, pisteu amai, pisteu e, pisteu etai, pisteu ametha, pisteu este, Piseu antai. All right, these are this is how you make the infinitive in the passive. You have to add this ending esthai, so instead of epsilon iota nu, you now add esthai, and it's to be. So lu esthai would be to be destroyed. Piseu esthai, to be believed, or to be trusted, right? And then one more thing that's in this chapter that it does mention is that because in the passive voice the subject is not doing the action but being acted on, there has to be a way to tell you who's the agent that's doing the action. And so in Greek, they often at times express that with the word hupo, which you have learned with the genitive means by. And so you'd have something like this: ha doulos pempetai hupo to prophetum. The servant is being sent. He's not doing the sending. The servant isn't doing the sending. He's being sent. By whom? By the prophet. And so the hupo plus the genitive tells you who's the actual doing the action of the verb. You can have an impersonal dative, which is the same basic construction, but instead of having the hupo plus the genitive, you can have just something in the dative, and it works the same way as the previous sentence. So this would be an example. Didaskamitha to lago to theou. So we start with our verb, didaskamitha. We are being taught. What are we being taught by? We're being taught by the word of God. And so instead of to, you might use by as your connecting preposition here. So we are being taught by the word of God. We'll do a bunch of examples of this and cases of this in your practice homework and in class, and it will feel really natural to you, I think, because we speak like this in English as well. The passive voice is this, that the subject is being acted upon. So like the ball is being kicked. The ball isn't doing the kicking, the ball is receiving the action. Paul is being taught Greek, or Paul is being kicked. Paul is not doing the thing, Paul is receiving the thing. So he's not teaching Greek, he's being taught Greek. We have this as a phrase all the time in Greek. We don't have anything that's quite like the middle, though, that they have. The middle voice, the subject is acting on itself. And Spanish has this, some other languages have this. So you could say something like this: I anoint myself, I wash myself, I brush my own teeth. All those things are happening to me, and so those would be in the middle voice. I bathe myself. Just so you know, though, there also are some verbs that just have a special meaning in the middle. This verb that you're going to learn very soon here, arco, means I rule. But when it's in the passive, which I should have put that in the passive, arkomai, it means I began. It just has a different meaning in the middle, and if your vocabulary denotes that for you, that's something that you should pay attention to and learn it as like a separate vocab word. And then some verbs only occur in the middle, but they're acting actively. Sometimes we call these deponents. It depends on who is doing the grammar, and so your Croy textbook kind of tends to call them just still middles. But there are some verbs. Here is a very, very common verb that we'll see all the time that you're learning right now, erkomai, and then all of its other forms. So erkomai means to come or to go. It's to move in either direction in Greek. And then eis erkomai is to come into. Ex erkomai is to go out of. D erkomai is to go through. And so it gets these prepositions that you know from elsewhere just added to the front to make it clear. That's when you just need to learn, because it's going to happen all the time and it sounds active even though it's got a middle form. And so some people call that deponents to distinguish it. And then just as a warning, there are verbs that occur as middle in one tense but not in every tense. And so erkomai is a middle, elusomai is a middle, but as we'll find out, eilthon is a tense. It's a past tense in which this is not a middle or a deponent verb at all. And so there's a couple of tricks here. The good thing is exceptions tend to be the things that are most common because we want to remember them and we have to use them frequently in order to remember them. So there's not a ton of exceptions in Greek. I would instead just focus on the main parts of this chapter, which is really nailing that passive middle ending. The omai, etai, amatha, omai, a, etai, amatha, esthe, antai. You want to get that down solid. And you want to be prepared to write that as a quiz, and then just think about the fact that the passives are acting to you on the subject, and then the middles are the things that you do to yourself. And so that's basically the gist of this chapter. This is still a pretty short video, so feel free to watch it again. If that would be helpful. If after you watch it again you still have questions, then you can send me an email or you can bring those questions to class, and I look forward to talking about it more with you. Okay, great.